Learn how to create, sustain, and scale up your print-on-demand business with the latest tips, guides, and strategies to help you start selling and making money today. Welcome to the Sales on Demand Show. And here's your host, Adam Schneider.
Hey guys, welcome back. Sales on Demand Show. This is episode 48. I've got something amazing for you today. We have a guest. His name is Travis Ross, and he agreed to come on the show and talk about his experience selling coffee mugs, mostly, but I think he does t-shirts as well, mostly on Amazon, just like me. And he's also getting into Etsy, and his story has a lot of value because he is a high-level seller. If I had to estimate, he's probably doing 5 to 10 times as much volume as I am, and he says that there's people he knows that are doing even more than that. So, I mean, anybody who's doing that kind of volume selling on marketplaces like Amazon is somebody that you just go and you pay attention to what they're saying because they know what they're talking about. So today we talked a lot about setting up processes and having, vision to move forward and setting goals that are achievable to increase your sales. We also talked about the 80-20 principle, where you don't want to be spending your time doing things that are not adding to your business. So Travis, revealed that he spent a lot of time actually making coffee mugs, and that moving forward he's going to adopt a more print-on-demand model where he's going to have someone else do that for him and hopefully automate every part of his business so that he doesn't have to do anything. And that's really the goal for all of us, I think, is handing off all these little tasks to someone else so that we're free to just live our lives and, collect the money. Maybe there's a little bit less profit because you're hiring somebody to do something, but it's worth it to free up your time to do something else. And you can either, get involved with the business in a little way, or you can do everything and make all of the profit. It's entirely up to you, but automating things that you're not good at is always a good idea. So have a listen, guys. This episode is fairly long. It's probably close to an hour in length, but it's very, very valuable. All right, so here it is. Yeah, well, thank you for agreeing to come on the show. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
I've
Sure.
not had a guest on yet, so you will be the first one.
Well,
Do you feel
I'm honored.
lucky?
I totally feel lucky.
Good. You wouldn't believe how difficult it is to get someone to agree to do this. I have put it out there, and people are like, "Oh, no, I don't want to do that. I got to talk to people." So everybody's cool with texting and messaging, but nobody wants to actually talk. So yeah, I guess what we can start with is just what is your overall experience with e-commerce? I did read your message, and I know you said you were doing really well with mugs and you were making them yourself. Do you want to elaborate on that, or do you have
Sure.
other experience? Or
I got started on Amazon a little over 5 years ago, and it was kind of a secondary thing. And about 3 months in, I got laid off, and so decided to make it my full-time thing. And I was doing mainly retail arbitrage. So for your listeners that don't know what that is, it's basically going to a retail store, a Walmart or a Costco or a Sam's Club or whatever, and trying to find stuff that's on clearance that's selling for more on Amazon and profiting that difference or making up that difference. That's the arbitrage. You're buying low, selling high. And so I was doing that a lot. And during that time, I also started doing some private labeling, which is basically finding something on, in another country or even, I guess you can do it in the US too, but you're creating your own product based on another product and putting your own packaging and all of that. And so launched several private label products, have a couple brands. They're still actually selling on Amazon. And
That's
then,
good. Yeah.
yeah, over the course of the few years, me and a friend I'm in Colorado in the Denver area, and we started a conference called Rocky Mountain Reseller Conference. We did it for about 3 years and had people coming from all over the country talking about selling on Amazon. So I was doing all the retail arbitrage, the online arbitrage, the private labeling, and all of that. And one day, I heard about merch by Amazon and thought, oh, well,
Mm.
that's kind of cool. And I kind of got in, not super super early, but I got in early enough that I made it a focus, and I hired some people to do some designs and uploaded a bunch of designs and um, made a few bucks. But my main business was, the arbitrage and the private label stuff on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So, so then fast forward to like um, a couple years, I don't know, it was our last, I think it was our last Rocky Mountain Reseller Conference. And some guys were talking about sublimation and that you could sublimate mugs, and all you needed was, a mug press and a printer that you could basically retrofit to use the specialty inks that you need. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I mean, for a couple $100, I can buy the stuff and try it out. And because I already know how to create listings on Amazon because I've done it for my private label products. And so I started creating listings on Amazon for the designs that I had made for merch. And then slowly that just built and bought more and more presses and eventually moved to using convection ovens, and ended up moving out of my basement into a facility and bought a conveyor oven to do them, and uh, have thousands of listings on Amazon, um,
Mm.
and then
Wow.
doing Walmart too, and a little
Ah,
bit of
Walmart.
Etsy, and a little bit of eBay. But I mean, I'm probably, revenue wise, it's probably like 80, 85% Walmart or Amazon, because that's where dreams are
That's where
made.
the customers are. Yeah, that's true.
Yes, I know that was a little longer winded, but
No.
there's a lot of lessons learned in that time, and just coming to the place where I am now. Because I mean, so today, actually, like if you fast forward all the way to today, I've been in that warehouse for a year, and I'm actually getting out of the warehouse. And
Right. Yeah, you did mention that you were selling off some of those items. Um,
yeah.
that's that's actually a perfect summation of what is almost the reverse of what I've been doing. I got into print on demand, and I'm moving towards maybe doing some private label in Japan. So
Hmm.
you kind of started with that, and in the arbitrage thing, which is hugely popular. I'm part of several groups that do, they talk about arbitrage and Facebook. So I'm familiar with it, but I live in Canada, so it is a
Yeah.
bit of a challenge to do that kind of arbitrage here. Um, yeah, I mean, so you said you're selling some of your stuff. Have you got some plans going forward from that, or?
Yeah. So, I mean, the future really is. So the last year, um, I've learned a lot about print on demand. So I stopped completely doing arbitrage um, a year and a half ago and went full time print on demand, and really was focusing on scaling that. And so I'm very big on outsourcing, and so was had designers, had another kind of main admin, uh, virtual assistant. She's amazing. I love her, and I'd never want her to work for anyone else. She's amazing. But we slowly started. Um, I have another person that works for me here in the States. Um, and she's like my operations manager, but I'm kind of that guy who I have shiny object syndrome, and
Oh yes, I'm familiar with that.
yeah, and so I'm all over the place, but she kind of helps me focus on um, like the writing, policies and procedures, and focusing on, okay, first do this, then do this, then do this. And so we really focused that in 2019. We focused on creating policies and procedures
Hmm.
for SOPs, standard operating procedures for all of our creating listings. So we use um, flat files or Excel spreadsheets to
Yes,
upload
to
to
upload
Amazon.
bulk listing creation.
Yeah.
That's for many people that's so far beyond their expertise that I mean, every time I do anything with flat files, I have to literally look up each step every time because I
Yep.
just forget about how it works. But yeah, I have used it a little bit. It's just it's one of those high end things. So well, so let me ask. Up until now, have you been finding that the print on demand, or should I say the FBA, the Amazon FBA, has been pretty profitable? And if it hasn't, do you think you wanted or you could make it more profitable, or has it been pretty good?
Yeah. So when I started, um, I was creating listings, and we were pretty much doing it all manually. It was before the flat file stuff. When we started creating, and I have like, um, I am probably 75% mugs, 25% shirts
Mm-hmm.
or t-shirts, and that's, I mean, not, and that's FBA or not, I'm sorry, not merch by Amazon, but you know, FBM, I guess,
Yeah.
fulfilled by merchant t-shirts.
So you just
Um,
send it out yourself, though.
yes, exactly. Um, and when we started doing mugs, it was before, we were doing flat files and all of that. And oh, I lost my train of thought. What was your question again?
Well, I get the profitability.
Oh,
Do you
okay.
find it to be
The
fairly
FBA.
profitable? Yeah.
Right. So when I started, I was actually every listing I created, I sent two FBA products in for every
Just two.
single one.
Oh,
Yeah. Just to kind of test and see what would
yes.
happen.
Yes.
And so by the time I had like, and I started on just 11-ounce mugs because that was what I was doing, I literally in my basement making
Right.
them, sending them out first class mail.
Easy to do. Yeah.
And so every day we'd go to the post office, and and then we would build these FBA shipments and send them in two a day, or two for every listing. And once I had like, 800 or 900 listings, there were a lot that just never sold. And
Yep.
so I was like, oh
Mm-hmm.
crap, now I have all of these products in there. Now some of them were winners, and I would see that they were winners and I would send more, but a lot of them weren't. And so I at one point I said, okay, well, let's just send one. And then eventually I said, okay, this is ridiculous. I can't keep doing this. I have to find a better way. So we found, through some digging, some reporting, that we could kind of make to where we could basically everything we list, we just list FBM. And then we run
Yes.
reports every week, every Monday. Amy, she's my operations manager, the one that, makes me sane. She runs reports, and we see what's sold, and we
Mm-hmm.
see what we're low in stock. And we basically look at the last 30 days of sales, last 90 days of sales, and kind of have come up with some parameters that we say, okay, well, this seems to be selling well, and so let's send six, or let's send. So um, I do case pack because it's easier. It all goes to one place. So I'll do case
Yes.
packs of
Yes.
six, of 12, or of 36, depending. And so
Mm.
over the course of the year, we're sending you know 20 or 30 mugs a week. Sometimes, obviously, as we're coming up to Valentine's Day, we're shipping a whole bunch more because we have some Valentine's things that kind of did well last year. And
Mm-hmm.
in each of the holidays, we kind of prepare for Q4. Man, we sent 4 pallets of boxes of 36.
Yes.
It was like thousands and thousands of
Yes.
mugs.
Quarter four is always just
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it was nuts. So, so yes, FBA is profitable, but you've got to be smart about it because you can waste a lot of money printing mugs that nobody wants to buy.
That is very true, and I think you're right in the same. You're doing it almost exactly the way I have, except you started with FBA and then you realized that fulfillment by merchant is the best way to test it.
Hmm.
Um, so that's the training program that I went through. You start with fulfilled by merchant, you upload the design, it automatically connects with Amazon. And then I started looking through to see what's sold. And of course, I'm just a one-man operation, so I'm not touching or actually physically touching any of these products, but I do have some suppliers.
Mhm.
And the suppliers, of course, I send them a design file and I say, I want 36. They usually go with 36. So I'm not going to say that I haven't done what you did and I, send surplus items. So this year, my goal is to not have any surplus items or anything that's just sitting there not selling. I did destroy like close to 100 just last week,
Mm.
and it hurts. It hurts
Yeah,
to
for
destroy
sure.
that many. It's like, oh, because they're about $4 each, all in to send them in. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not
Gets pricey.
critical, but you don't want to waste money. So
Right. And that's, I mean, it's not like our system is foolproof. We still have things that sit in there and we get charged long-term fees and, all that
hmm
crap. Um, but when you get to a volume, when you have, thousands and thousands of listings, um, it doesn't hurt as bad. You know what I mean? Because it's a
exactly.
smaller
Yeah.
percentage, and you can kind of bank on some of those high volume holidays to bail you out a little bit. you
Yeah.
know. But it's still smart to have, some inventory management systems to where and like you did, like just kill the losers, and
Yeah.
stock up on the winners.
Do you ever use paperclip to try and sort of stimulate sales on anything that you thought should sell?
Oh, I mean, um, what I do, and it seems to work. I literally have a couple of sponsored ad campaigns, and all I do most of the time, I'll add my new listings, my FBM, my fulfilled by
hmm
merchant listings to a campaign. Um, and I'll split them out by 11s. Sometimes I'll split them out, 11s and 15s. And then I'll maybe do some Valentine's and some Mother's Day and some Christmas and different, kind of split them out like that, just so I can have the numbers. But everything, I do all of that. I do auto. Um,
Auto.
I
Yeah.
do about Then I do about 15 to 20 cents a click and a $5 a day budget. And I never spend $5 a day. And my average cost of sales, is anywhere between 12 and 20%. So
hmm
I'm always making money with those. And, um, it's driving the organic as well, because every time you make a sale on Amazon, that's a feather in your cap for their algorithm, and they will theoretically rank you better in the organic searches that you're not paying for. So
Well,
that's
yeah,
always a good thing.
that's almost exactly what I did. This is something, and I put as many as 500 items into one campaign. Maybe I'll try the splitting them out a little bit more because I'm focusing more now on um, once upon a time I would just create, hundreds and hundreds of designs that I'm like, you know what, none of these are very good, but one or two might sell.
Hmm.
Now I'm focusing my effort on things that I've done research on. I see that there's keyword search terms for that, and I put it in a little spreadsheet, and I'm like, okay, I have hundreds of ideas here. They're all sort of tested with, merchant words or whatever, and I'm going to create designs around these. And then anything that sells well with that, I can scale out to different niches or, do that. But then I can put all those campaigns into the automatic pay-per-click campaign, and
Hmm.
then whatever pops up does well. Those ones I'll send for FBA.
Yeah.
So that's actually worked well for me. And it sounds like you were kind of doing the same thing. And it's funny that you did that. You probably had no idea that there were other I don't know. Did you take a course or anything, or did you just kind of just figure this out for yourself?
No, I didn't take a course on the print on demand stuff, but yeah, just over the course, talking to a lot of people, I had heard even in retail arbitrage, some guys will just throw all of their retail arbitrage stuff and put like 5 cents, and it's all basically just to get that super, super long tail search term that no one would
Yes.
think
Yeah.
of. and you show up on page one because you're the only person that is
That's
sponsoring.
bidding on that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's
bidding on that keyword,
yeah.
which, I mean, that's some super low hanging fruit, which is always nice.
Yeah, and even just a couple sales extra can get that item ranked up if it's
Hmm.
not a top selling item, but
Yeah,
there's a few sales here and there. Those extra sales can get you ranked up or get you exposed to some keywords that aren't already selling it for.
right. Yeah.
Nice. So let me ask you another question here. So, Profit, is this do you have full-time staff doing this, or is it virtual assistants?
Yeah. So, when we were doing the whole, the big, like this last year, I had Amy, who's my ops manager, and she's part time, but she's incredibly efficient and awesome. And she
Mm-hmm.
was kind of running our overseas staff, and then I have my oldest son um, working part time for me and doing the production. But of course, myself and Amy would help, as needed. But he would come in every day and fulfill all of the FBM orders until it got crazy in Q4, and I had to actually
Yeah.
hire more temps that would come in, and we were all working. There were 4 or 5 of us working, 8-hour days, getting hundreds and hundreds of orders out every day. Um, and then overseas, um, I basically split up our process into uh, several different steps. And so step one was a person who would go out and get the ideas. Okay. So they would
Mm-hmm.
literally just, I mean, we would give them ideas sometimes, but their main job was to, like, okay, nursing mugs or nursing ideas. And so they would go to Pinterest and type in Google and go to Etsy and Amazon and just look for ideas. And then they would put a link to the thing on a spreadsheet, and then type out like a sentence of, if needed, they would say, well, do this, except maybe change something like this. Then our designers would come, and I had 4 designers that were working, and they were paid by the design, and they would work on the designs. And then I had the listers, and they would take those designs and well, there was a copyright check in there too that
Yeah.
we did just to
Just
try
checking
to
the trademark, the
yeah,
USPTO. Yeah.
exactly, just to make sure we were, you know at least could say with honesty that we uh, did our best. Because I have had a couple of IP things on Amazon, but
Yeah. It just
um,
happens.
yeah, exactly. So
Everybody
we
gets
would
it.
yeah, so we would go so it would go to the lister, um, and then it would go to, and they would basically write the titles and the descriptions and the keywords for in the spreadsheet. And then I had a final person that would put it all together, and actually she's my main admin, and she would upload it to Amazon. And we also sell in Canada, and we sell in Europe. And so she would upload all the flat files because they're a little bit different formats in the different countries, and she would upload them all and keep those all updated um, to the different countries. So we would have all of our stock
Okay.
on all of the different places. And so all in all, we had about 12 people, all except for the designers. Everybody was full time. And I mean, we were spending a lot of money. And the whole idea was like, um, a mile wide, an inch deep, and just throwing
Yes.
everything at the wall and seeing what sticks, trying to find the winners, and trying to have as many options as possible for Q4. There's probably some other ways that we could have optimized it or made it better, but um, or made it less labor intensive.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but we wrote out everything, and it was running.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I have scaled back to I have 2 overseas, um, people that are employed now. I have my main admin girl, and then another girl that's kind of she just does listings. I let all my designers go. I still have like 5,000 designs sitting over there that we're slowly just putting
Oh
on
wow.
products and stuff. Um,
Yes.
And then at the end of the month, I'm moving out of the facility. My son is not going to be working for me anymore. Got to fire my boy.
Yeah.
He's got another thing, so it's fine. But and I'm going to move back, and I'm basically going to I've selling all my equipment, and I'm going to move specifically to outsourcing all of it, and I'll still have Amy kind of helping me write systems for all of the things that I'm doing,
Hmm.
with the goal being eventually I don't have to do anything. I don't have to answer any emails. I don't have to answer, it all goes to other people. And maybe we hire one other virtual assistant that's like customer service or some other, and other people are. So basically, Amy can manage the whole thing, and I can kind of go do the next thing. Um, our plan is to, add more products. The whole idea is basically just maximizing your assets. I have thousands and thousands of designs.
Hmm.
Um, you know, what, some of them work on T-shirts and mugs and all these other products that I could put them on. Why not? It gives me way more reach.
Yeah,
Because
one design on many products.
exactly.
That's vital, I think. And there's a lot of people that I know who they only sell on Etsy or they only sell on Amazon. And I'll admit I don't put as much time into Etsy as I could. I don't really like spending a lot of time fiddling with listings.
Mm-hmm.
I like to press upload on the integration, and then Amazon receives it, and then I forget about it. And then if it sells, I might go back, fiddle around with it. Although it's hard to change the titles on Amazon once you've
Right.
started making sales, that they lock it down. So I try to make
That's
the
true.
title as perfect as possible. I gotta ask about your designs. A lot of the designs that I make, in fact, most of the ones that sell well for me, are just straight up text, maybe a couple of fonts,
Hmm.
maybe an image like a outline or something like that. But I don't even think the outline is a vital part of that. Do you find that your best sellers kind of follow that format, or are they more fancy? Or
Yeah, I actually, and this is, you may or may not agree with this, but so most of my designs are not just text based. They probably have text in them, probably 99% have text in them, but they're designed. They have, some of them are just, fonts, but there's probably some colors on them. And, so some of them are just fonts and words, but most of them have a graphical,
hmm.
component to them. Um, if it's not an image, it's the way the font is laid out, in a
Right.
shape or something like that, or there's a box around it or something. And the thing I was going to say about that is, um, I think that, and I'm familiar with Rachel's course, and
Hmm.
and I know the ugly design thing, and
Yeah.
and I think I think that's all well and good, and obviously it does work. I just think that as this space, print on demand in general, gets more and more saturated, um, design is going to matter more and more because people are just going to have more choices.
I do agree with that. In fact, on Etsy, I've been seeing that, particularly the mock-up. I just
Mm.
use Generally I just use the mock-up with the white background,
Hmm.
because I mean,
The
creating a
same one for
mock-up for every
Amazon, right?
listing. That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
But I've been noticing that almost every seller is using fancy mock-ups, and
Yep.
I'm like, well, okay. If I want to do better on that, I'll have to start using mock-ups, and maybe I'll have to get somebody to actually make those for me, unless I do it myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I'll just do it to the best sellers and
Sure.
turn
Sure.
anything that's selling okay into maybe a better seller. I'll have to experiment with that, because I haven't done it yet, and I
Yeah.
do okay. But maybe I could do better.
Yeah.
It's all a matter of where am I going to put my limited time.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, we used a tool called Listing Mirror, that
oh,
takes your Amazon listings, and then we'll populate them on Etsy, Walmart, eBay. You basically, it'll integrate with whatever accounts you have.
Listing Mirror.
Shopify. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's super valuable. I'm
It's
gonna just type that down.
it's a really cool software. But so what I did was when I first started and I first got Listing Mirror, I like pushed a bunch of stuff over to Etsy, like 800 listings, and I just said go. And then I had on, and I was kind of like you. I mean, I'm like an Amazon guy, so I'm like, you put it up and it sells, and you just make money.
Yeah.
And you never look at it again, and that is not the way Etsy works.
That is true.
And
That
I've
is
learned that
very
the
true.
hard way,
Yeah.
And I even had the automatic relist, on, and so
Yeah.
I had all these things just automatically relisting, and so I didn't do as well on Etsy as I thought. So anyway, long story short, at the end of last year, probably October, November, Amy and I were talking, and we're like, okay, so in 2020 we really need to focus on Etsy. And one idea that we have toyed around with is, since we were trying to find a uploader for Etsy, and I found a website that has that. It'll allow you to upload a CSV. Basically, it's like a comma. It's like an Excel file to Etsy, and so you can basically create listings with this program. And so what we thought, since I agree with you, I don't think white backgrounds on Etsy work. I think you need to have an Etsy-ish title design, or title model. And so what we thought was, as we create new listings on Amazon, we already have it in spreadsheet form, and our images are just links. And so what we thought was, we could use a mug with a white background as image 1, and then image 2 on Amazon would be an Etsy-ish looking design. And then we could pay our virtual assistants or whoever something to take those and then make for the Etsy, make image number 2 on Amazon the number 1 image, so you could and basically kill two birds with one stone, using the same images on both platforms, but varying it, and not so I turned off all my auto renews.
Yes.
And
as did I. Yes.
Yeah. And we're really going to go through it item by item and go, which are the good sellers, particularly on Etsy and on Amazon. And we're going to start with those. We're also going to throw some of our t-shirts up there as well. And probably, as we introduce new, like travel mugs and newer products, other things that we haven't really dabbled in because we've been doing it ourselves, we'll slowly start integrating some of that stuff. But definitely, I've been listening to a few of your podcasts, and I think you're right. Etsy does take a lot more time if you want to make good money on it.
If you want to crush it, it's a time-based, whereas Amazon, money can help you scale.
Yeah. But
it's hard to buy your way into Etsy unless you're buying designs, and that is something that I have experimented with. I did, I had Fiverr designers making me some designs. Some of them, they're still selling. But I find that it's an expensive outlay that I, can't justify unless I'm using those designs on a bunch of different products. And then I just haven't done that yet. So, when you were doing merch by Amazon, were you buying your designs for those as well?
Yeah, I probably bought 90% of the designs.
Right.
I have some basic ability in Photoshop, and
Yeah.
I've used Canva. Canva is awesome.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I have a mug that last year and during Valentine's Day got up to number 6 in drinkware on Amazon.
Wow.
We sold hundreds and hundreds of that thing, late January to early February, and I designed it in Canva.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of a funny saying, and it's cute, and it went nuts. So yeah, sometimes I can do a winner, and but most, like I said, 90% of our mugs are designed by other people.
Right. And you find that just out of curiosity, what do you generally pay for a design? $10 or?
No, and so here's another. So a lot of people go to Fiverr or they'll go to what's the one, Upwork,
Upwork,
find
yeah.
a designer and whatever. There's a site, and you may have heard of it before, but it's called onlinejobs.ph. And
Oh,
it's a
yes, I am
Filipino.
aware. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
Filipinos.
Yep. And that is actually where I found all of my incredible uh, virtual assistants,
Mm,
including my designers. And um, I usually pay between $3 and $5 a design,
mm-hmm.
depending on who's designing it. I have one guy who actually he's more contract. I gave him stuff every week, but now that I've kind of scaled back, he's just doing contract stuff for me. But I pay
Right.
him about $5 a design, and he's really good. He's done, logos for me for customers, and like local things that I've done. And he did he did our uh, I was in a band. He did our band logo. He does a
Oh,
lot of really cool stuff, and super super talented. But yeah, and then the other VAs that I had that were doing designs, he's, they were doing it for uh, 350, I think. And the
mm-hmm.
thing is like they don't have to. I mean, they go to the spreadsheet and they can grab 10 of the items, and a lot of those items are like, it's the same basic design. It's just, you know, um, I'm not, um, or I'm super cool because I play saxophone, because I play
Yes.
clarinet,
Yeah, so they'll
because
just
I play
change one
flute.
word or
Yeah,
add
maybe an
that one
image or something.
keyword and
Yeah.
yeah.
So it wasn't like, I mean, and some of the other stuff was a little more challenging, and it wasn't all like that, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, because we told, basically we made a deal. We said, hey, some of these are pretty easy, some of them, are a little more challenging, but it all kind of balances out. You can crush a lot of designs for us, so here's the rate we're willing to pay. And
Right.
it
Yeah.
does take a while to find people, that you like, and then you can communicate with well and all of that stuff. But in the end, um, it's really worth it when you can find somebody that's a winner. And like I said, I have one VA. She's more the admin side. I found her on onlinejobs.ph, and she is amazing. She's worked for me for like 3 years now, and uh, I mean, I give her bonuses. I try to treat her
Yeah.
right. I ask her, how she's done. She's done some missionary work over there in like some
Oh,
other
wow.
countries, and I've supported her in her missionary work. I mean, she's amazing. My wife and I actually we've talked about, we'd love to meet her someday because she's just such a
Yeah.
sweetheart. And so if you treat people right, and they want to help, and
Exactly.
that's been my experience with our virtual assistants.
Yeah. The Filipino people, they're so sweet and
Mhm.
they don't seem like really innocent. They don't
Yeah,
seem jaded and sort of world weary like the North Americans do. They're like,
yeah,
hey, life is great. I want to work hard.
yeah, yeah,
Give me more work.
yeah.
So that's what I found. I had a Malaysian virtual assistant uploading for me, and then now I have a script that actually does the uploading for me
Nice.
to gearbubble.com. So I don't have to pay somebody, although I have to set up the spreadsheet to make it work, and then I just let it run in the background. So I've been kind of my goal is to have software kind of fill in where I used to have VAs doing things. And
Hmm.
so I've been looking at scripts for Photoshop so that if I have a design that somebody created for me, it has a keyword in it, I can just strip that keyword out and the script will put in, a new word and then create a design. I know there's other people doing this and I don't know how they're doing it. And I'll have to look into it because it sounds like an easy way to just sort of have the computer do all of this design work
Yeah,
with something that's already sort of made fancy looking. And I mean, not too super fancy, but enough that it's going to attract attention anyway.
Hmm.
and then upload it and see what sells. So I'll have to look into that and actually figure out how it works, because all these things that are scripts, that's just way beyond my expertise. So
Yeah, me too.
whenever you get to tell the computer to do something when you're not there, I can make the computer do something if I'm sitting there clicking a mouse, but like otherwise it's a bit technical. So
Yeah.
well, I guess the last thing I'll ask you is like, what are your goals for print on demand? Where do you see yourself the end of this year, the end of next year, and beyond for that?
Yeah. So there's a lot. There's some unknowns for me. I have a buddy that does print on demand that has scaled beyond anything that I'll ever do. I
Mm,
mean, it's just
wow.
nuts. And so I've been picking his brain about some of the stuff you're talking about with automation and potentially using even my designs, to just create lots and lots of spreadsheets. So that could mean that I have, 100,000 designs by the end of the year,
Yeah.
on Amazon. I don't know that that's going to happen, but that's, that's a possibility. So if that happens, that will, or if I'm able to pull that off, that will be a majority of my focus.
Yeah.
If that doesn't work, we'll continue to cruise along with what we're doing, and like creating more mug listings, but then also creating processes for other products.
Mm-hmm.
Because now that we have the processes, it's just, you only have to change step 9, step 16, and step 13, or whatever to make it a new product, because it's basically the same processes to create the spreadsheet. And then we use the listing mirror to move them over. And then once they're on Etsy, we can have them as drafts and we can swap out some pictures or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
some of that stuff. So that's one. I mean, that's what we will continue to do probably regardless. The other focus that I want to try it. I've not done a lot of custom. In fact, I haven't done any.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I want to do, I don't think it's like I don't think that you're going to make a lot of money if you have like, print your own custom mug. Upload a picture and we'll put up the picture on it, or say what you want to say and we'll type it out and put it on the mug.
Yeah.
Because everybody's doing that. I
I
think the
have, yeah,
winners.
I've seen some of the top sellers are, that put your own text here, but I mean, if you,
But how many of those are there?
yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
how many are you competing with? So I think what I want to try, and is taking a design that's actually like a decent design that, has something on it that then you can add your name to, or your mom's name or your dad's name or whatever, that, world's best fisherman, and then it has,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
Jack Smith, or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
And the only part of it that's customizable is the text, and trying to scale that. And I haven't, it's more of a, I mean, that's the idea. I think we need to spend some time brainstorming on all of the different niches that we can get into with that. But I think that could, that's a possibility to be a winner. And you can do that with Amazon Custom too.
You can. I have experimented a bit with that. I actually had a couple listings over 2018 Christmas that just took off
Hmm.
like a shot, and so I was sending these out, and then they just died off for the next year. So it was hit and miss for me. But I actually had a supplier that could send out customized listings. It's just
Hmm.
they were very slow to ship.
Hmm.
Um, it would take them 12 days to make one item
Oh,
during the slow season, and I just thought, well, this is no good. Their software was fantastic. It's just their customer service was awful. They had every excuse in the world why this was delayed, and I just thought, you know what? No, I'm done. So
yeah.
manually would have to be the way for me. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's really my whole focus on 2020 is, yes, I want to have more products. I want to have different products with our designs on them. I want to potentially do some customized things, but I think our main focus for 2020 is going to be more and more automation
Mm-hmm.
for the business owner, for me.
Yeah.
And learn, and creating processes for, because we have the processes for the listing creation. Now we need the processes for the running the business,
Yeah.
all the
The
reports that we
day-to-day
pull,
things,
and yeah,
so
and
you're not
exactly.
spending 24 hours a day sitting there with coffee mugs in your hands and wanting to die.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what, man, we were killing ourselves during Christmas.
Yeah.
It
Mm-hmm.
was nuts, and it was awesome. It was very profitable. I mean, um, I am giving up margin to pull back,
Mm-hmm.
because now someone else is doing it and they're making the profit on theirs.
Yeah, that's right.
But at the end of the day, I think for me and for my family, um, I think the lifestyle business as opposed to the production side of things is probably better, for what
Yeah.
we're going to do in the future, and some of our plans and dreams and visions for what we're going to do in the future.
Great. Well, just to give you an idea of what I'm usually seeing for prices for me, when I list something, I list it for $20.
Hmm.
If it's a coffee mug, it's $20, including
Hmm.
shipping. And
Hmm.
then if someone purchases it, it costs me 10. Amazon takes their, you know, 15%,
15%.
and I get $7. So I'm pretty happy with that. And if I only have to focus on the design elements, getting it onto the marketplace, and then it's just taken care of, that actually is a huge thing for me. Because like you said, I have no desire to sit there and be actually creating the mugs. It wouldn't really work for me since I live in Canada anyway. I'd be shipping across the border.
Right.
But even if I didn't, I would just, and I actually thought about this, printing my own mugs, and I realized I'd just be sitting there doing it all day long. Um, yeah, my time is very important to me. I try to do as little of the tedious stuff as I can. So hopefully you'll find, and if you can get into an integration, I think you're going to find that integrations, especially with these print on demand suppliers, they're just a lifesaver and
Oh yeah.
saving
Yeah.
you so much of the time managing the orders that you get, that you can spend the rest of your time managing your people, or doing some other kind of business,
Yeah.
if that's something
Exactly.
you're looking at branching out to.
Yeah. If it's not automated, it's not worth it. I mean,
Yeah,
having to
I agree.
manually import orders is a pain in the butt.
Oh, it
So,
is a
I mean,
huge pain. Yeah.
which gives me honestly gives me pause on the custom thing. But if I can figure out a way to, have a VA that, is doing that.
Yeah. Take the
Um,
orders, and
yeah.
there may be, downloading the orders as a CSV file, sending them to a VA, and
Hmm.
having them do it for a couple dollars an order, because you can usually charge more for customized orders.
Exactly.
People will pay more for their name on this mug, or their picture, or whatever it is that you're adding to it. And that's it's on Etsy. Customization is huge. People
Yeah.
love it, and sometimes it can get really finicky with what they want. So you have to be very specific and say, this element is customizable, nothing else is.
Right.
And of course, during the Christmas season, I had people say, "Oh, can you make this color and that color? Can you make it say this, Dad?" And they just have all these requests. So I was very picky about which ones I'd actually do. If it was like one word changed, sure. If it's like, "Can you change the color? Can you do this?" No, no, I don't really need your order that badly. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I had a woman contact me on Etsy, and I had a mug that was kind of a makeup type thing, it was kind of
oh,
and she owned a salon, and she wanted to give them as gifts to all of her people that worked in the salon. And so she wanted us to put, just have the one side as the design and then put their name on the back.
oh, okay, yeah,
And it was, I was like, normally I would have said no, but it was like for 6 mugs. And I was like,
mm-hmm,
you know what? I
Yep.
can do that. And, find the file. So we found the file, we edited it and put the names on. And, it was, I think we, ended up, it was $120 order or something like that. And, it cost us, whatever it cost us to, I think, I don't know, see, like $20, 25 bucks and actual like materials, and then
Material costs.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then probably 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes of editing some files, and so that's nice profit. That's
That
worth
is
it, I
true. Yeah.
guess. But yeah, for onesie twosies, every time someone wants something different on that's the thing. It's like, no, this isn't customizable. It is what it is.
Yeah, it
It
is what
doesn't
it
say
is.
customized anywhere on the page. Why are you asking
Yeah.
me? But sometimes it works out, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. You just have to, decide for yourself, how far do I want to go with this? And then if it's quarter four and you already got, 100 orders in the queue and you're like, there was no way.
Yeah,
There's no way.
exactly.
It's not happening.
Yeah, if she would have contacted me like, yeah, in December, there would have been no way. But
Yeah.
it was like this, it was November, and it hadn't really gotten crazy. It was interesting. This Q4 it was like 3 weeks of madness. And then, but
Hmm.
it was a shorter Q4,
It
um,
was.
because of the
Yeah.
way
Black Friday
thing,
was later.
yeah. But because of that, I felt like it was so much more busy than it has been, because it was condensed, and like everybody still had to buy the same amount of stuff. They just had
That's right.
fewer
They just
days to do it.
fewer days to do it. Yeah. There was one lady in the low hanging system group. She had 140 orders just on Cyber Monday, and then she hurt her back, and she's doing everything manually. So
Oh,
she just ended up so far behind. And I thought, well, okay, I'm glad I'm not doing that.
yeah.
I actually had a pretty quiet quarter four because Etsy was where I get most of my customer service stuff, and I just didn't have as much volume on Etsy this year. It was all Amazon print,
Hmm.
FBA.
Yeah. So you'd already done the work.
I'd already done the work. I sent in the stuff, spent the money, and it just sold. I didn't
Yeah.
have as much breakage as I did the year before, so that
Hmm.
was good. There's
Yeah.
still some breakage.
Yeah.
They close a listing here and there because Amazon likes to just huck it out the door instead of shipping it. So
Yeah. Yeah. I was looking at my numbers, for for Q4, and well, actually for 2019, and to your point, I have um, probably 5%, maybe 5 to 10% of my listings are FBA, or everything starts out as FBM, and then
hmm
maybe 5% of them eventually become FBA and actually have stock at Amazon.
hmm
And my numbers for how many mugs I sold FBA versus how many mugs I sold FBM were within 10% of each other. And I can't remember
Oh,
which one
okay,
had
yeah,
more, but I want to say I sold more FBM than I did, like 10% more FBM than I did FBA.
yeah,
But I mean, just think about that. I only had 5% of my total listings
yeah.
in Amazon, and yet I sold. So, when there is a serious power in FBA, and
Well,
yeah, you spend
yeah.
the $40 a month for the, and so
Oh,
you got to
it's a
have some
pittance. It's a
sales,
drop in the
but
bucket.
exactly, there's a power in it for sure.
Mine is more like 80/20 FBA.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
I'm all about the FBA, and every time I create a listing, I'm like, okay, we'll see if this works
So how many
for
do you send?
FBA.
How many do you send to FBA? You
Well,
decide on the winner.
it's I usually send 36, and a lot of the time I'm taking something that it has to be a proven winner in that case.
Hmm.
So if something is selling on Etsy, I will sometimes, just be like, okay, I know this is a proven seller. I know
Hmm.
it could sell on Amazon. It's probably buried underneath, thousands of other listings, but the FBA cheat code gets me up there, and then maybe a little bit of pay per click on that one listing usually
Hmm.
gets it going.
Okay.
Although it's not 100% guaranteed. Just that
Yeah.
it's enough that it's worth doing it.
Right. Huh. Cool.
So that's been my process so far. And then I use, I'll leave the pay-per-click running because it just adds more profitable sales and just increases velocity
Sure.
usually. And sometimes I've seen things that sold well, they'll lose that velocity and they won't start selling until I turn on the advertising again to
Mm.
get them going. So now I just leave it on
Yeah.
and let it run.
Yeah. Me too. I leave all my ads on. Just, I don't know that it makes sense to turn them off because, I mean, for me,
Yeah.
I'm leaving them on everything,
Yeah.
FBM as well to get that, that long, long, long tail, keyword that
Yeah.
nobody thought of.
Well,
And then my
if you can
product
give
shows
Amazon a
for sale.
dollar and get $2 back,
Yeah,
you're winning no matter what. So
exactly.
we
Totally.
could just do that all day.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I think we'll probably wrap up there. And if you ever come across any information, maybe we could just do a show someday about VAs because that's a huge thing that people sort of that scares them. They think that hiring this person means that this is my slave or something like that. I mean, people have these,
Mm.
they're scared of these big things, but I think it's not as scary as people make it out to be. And certainly it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Um, but managing their time, how do you pay them? How do you do this? We could do something like that if you're interested in the future. But I do appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll have to maybe try it again sometime.
Yeah. Would love to. I'd be
Great.
happy to, man.
Well, yeah, we'll leave it at that, and have yourself a good afternoon.
All right. You
What's
too.
left of it. All right.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.